Hello folks, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm sharing a terrifying experience that still makes my skin crawl whenever I think about it. It involves a late night visit to a pitch black park, a bizarre flute sound at 3 a.m., and some even stranger events at a hospital and at home. Let's get into it. Story 1. The Flute in the Woods. When I was 18, my friends and I loved exploring creepy places. This story takes place in San Antonio, Texas, at a place called Schnabel Park, a beautiful spot during the day but known to be dangerous at night. Sadly, a woman was murdered there in 2016, and in 2021, someone got shot in those woods. So, going there after dark is risky. It was the start of the COVID lockdown, right before my high school shut down. Even though we were supposed to stay home, my friends and I ended up going out more than ever because there was nothing else to do. Around that time, I started talking to a girl from one of my classes named Clarissa. We weren't dating long, but somehow I convinced her to explore Schnabel at 3 a.m. We got there, and it was pitch black. The trees blocked most of the moonlight. I usually don't use a flashlight because I prefer letting my eyes adjust to the dark, and I also don't want anyone else to see my light from far away. We walked for 15 or 20 minutes along the main trail. It was unusually silent and very unsettling. I decided to take a side trail that would loop us back to the parking lot. We only walked about 2 minutes on this side trail when suddenly, out of nowhere, we heard a flute. It sounded like someone was actually playing a tune, very rhythmic and in perfect tempo. But it still sent chills through us because it was the dead of night in the middle of the woods. Clarissa started trembling with fear, about to cry, even though I don't scare easily. Seeing her in a full panic freaked me out. She started whispering prayers, asking God to forgive her for her sins. That's when I realized we had to get out of there fast. It was impossible to tell where the flute was coming from. It seemed to be on the main trail nearby, maybe 30 to 50 yards away, but it was getting louder and felt like it was right on top of us. I told Clarissa we should run forward, away from the sound. We sprinted about 30 feet, but suddenly we heard something huge crashing through the bushes in front of us. Whatever it was big. I couldn't see a shape or outline, just a rush of movement. It might have been a deer, but it made no noise before or after that moment. We heard no running steps afterward, which is odd for a large animal. We panicked and spun around, heading back toward the main trail. The second we got closer to where we first heard the flute, it started again, much louder this time, almost a chiming sound, like an Irish jig. It still had a rhythm, but we couldn't tell where it was coming from, and it felt like it surrounded us. My fight or flight instincts kicked in. We had two choices: the dark, off-road trail with the mysterious creature, or the main trail with the eerie flute. I chose the main trail, figuring at least it was paved and somewhat more open. We ran the entire way back to my truck, cutting a 20-minute walk to about 7 or 8 minutes. At some point, the flute sound must have stopped, but I didn't notice exactly when. I was too focused on getting out. On our way, we passed a random portable toilet, and I was terrified someone might be hiding inside it or behind it. But we saw no signs of anyone. Also, my truck was the only vehicle parked there, so it's not like there was a big crowd around. The next day, I told my friends about it and searched online to see if anyone else had heard a creepy flute at Schnabel Park. I found nothing. People have talked about ghosts, cults, weird animal noises, but never a soft, rhythmic flute solo at 3 a.m. I have no idea if it was a person, a ghost, a cult, or something else. It almost felt paranormal. Ever since that night, I haven't gone back to Schnabel after dark. I still explore other spooky places, but I've never experienced anything like that again. Story 2. The38HOUR No Sleep Hallucination. I'm a 20-year-old pharmacy technician in a medium-sized hospital in Northwest Alabama. I work a night shift from 6 p.m. to 4 a.m. 7 nights straight, then get 7 nights off. My job includes restocking surgery rooms, which is usually empty and eerie at night. One Tuesday into Wednesday, I'd been awake for over 24 hours because of family obligations. By the time I started my shift at 6 p.m. on Wednesday, I had been up since about 2 p.m. the previous day, so roughly 28 hours of no sleep. But I still had to push through my shift. Around 10 or 11 p.m., I was stocking meds in a surgery room. I always wear earbuds to listen to music. That's when I heard the surgery room door open behind me, loud squeak and then a slam. I turned, expecting to see a nurse, but the room was empty. Strange, but I figured whoever opened it probably changed their mind and left. In the next room, the light was off, but I thought I saw someone hunched over the sharp bin, the place you discard used needles and vials. This had happened before, someone digging for morphine or other drugs, so I flicked on the light, ready to confront them, but no one was there. I started questioning whether lack of sleep was causing me to imagine things. After all, real hallucinations can start between 30 to 48 hours with no sleep. I brushed it off and finished restocking. At 2 a.m., I went floor to floor, delivering patient-specific meds. The hospital layout is the same on every floor. If you exit the elevator, one side leads to wings, say, 5,100 5,200s, and the other side leads to wings, 5,400 5,500s. On the 5th floor, the 54 55ths wings were under renovation, so they were empty. I decided to peek at the 54 55th side out of curiosity. Walking down the deserted hallway gave me chills. As I passed room 5512, I heard a rattling noise like a bed shaking. I peeked in and saw an old man violently convulsing, blood pouring from his eyes, nose, and mouth, making awful gurgling sounds, like a zombie from The Walking Dead. The heart monitor was beeping frantically. My heart dropped. I jumped back behind the doorframe, then immediately stepped forward again, realizing he needed help, but now the room was empty. The bed was made. The monitor was turned off. No sign of that horrifying scene. I told myself, this has to be a hallucination, and ran to the elevators. When the doors opened on the first floor, a security guard, an older man, stepped on and gave me a pat on the shoulder as he passed. It was the same old man I'd seen having a seizure upstairs. He smiled at me, and the elevator doors closed. Heading back up, I watched on the panel as the elevator went to the 5th floor. Then came back down empty. I was so freaked out that I spent the rest of my shift sitting in the pharmacy until my wife picked me up at 4 a.m. As we left, I glanced up at the 5th floor and saw that same old man staring down from a window. I got chills all over. Even though it was probably a sleep deprivation hallucination, I'd never seen or known that man in my life. I haven't seen him since, but it still rattles me every time I think about it. Story 3. The Basement Visitor. I live with my boyfriend in a single-story, 3-bed, 2-bath house with a basement. Our neighborhood is very safe and quiet, with a small wooded area down the road. Last October, my boyfriend, M, went to Vegas for a bachelor party, leaving me alone from Thursday to Monday. On Friday night, I had a few friends over for wine and scary movies. While we were watching, the doorbell rang. We all froze. It was late, and I couldn't see anyone on the porch. I tried peeking through the small glass panel at the top of the door but saw nothing. We assumed it was just someone playing Ding Dong Ditch. Later that night, around 1 a.m., I got woken up by the doorbell again, this time ringing twice. No one belongs outside your door at that hour. I called M, but he was drunk at a loud bar. He just told me to stay put and not open the door. A few minutes after I hung up, I heard clicking noises from outside, then a knock at my window. A man's voice said, "Hey, anyone home? I need some help." Then he knocked again and said, "I know you're in there. That was my breaking point. I quietly called the police, whispering about a potential intruder. 2 officers showed up, but they didn't seem very interested in helping. One was especially rude, basically telling me they couldn't do anything without proof. They checked the outside quickly and left, which didn't make me feel safer. I tried to sleep, and luckily, nothing else happened that night. The next day, I was busy with errands and then went to a friend's Halloween party. Dressed as Velma from Scooby-Doo, I left around 1 a.m., feeling a bit tired but not drunk. When I got home, I immediately felt a cool breeze inside. I noticed a window was open, though I couldn't recall ever opening it. I closed it, went to brush my teeth, and when I came out of the bathroom, I saw that the basement door was wide open. My heart pounded. I started hearing a steady clicking noise from downstairs. Stepping to the top of the basement stairs, I called out, and the clicking stopped. Then a low male voice said, "You're finally home." I slammed the door and ran outside to my neighbor's place, calling the police from there. The same 2 officers arrived, but this time they were less rude. Maybe because my neighbor was beside me. They searched the house while I talked to my boyfriend on the phone. We found no sign of anyone. Everything was upside down from searching, but whoever it was had vanished. After that, I packed a bag and stayed at my sister's place until Em got home. For months, I refused to stay alone in that house at night. I still get nightmares about someone knocking on the windows. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed these scary stories, please remember to like and subscribe for more. Stay safe out there, and I'll see you in the next video.